Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. We'll be going over how to perform One Rescuer Adult Basic Life Support. BLS for adults focuses on doing several tasks simultaneously. In previous forms of BLS, the focus was primarily on one rescuer CPR. In many situations, more than one person is available to do CPR though. The simultaneous and choreographed method includes performing chest compressions, managing the airway, delivering rescue breaths, and using the AED, all as a team. By coordinating efforts, a team of rescuers can save valuable seconds when time lost equals damage to the heart and brain. This figure shows the steps involved in adult basic life support. We're going to go through these steps in more detail throughout the webinar. The first step is to ensure the scene is safe. Be sure not to become injured yourself. If possible, remove the victim for potential harm, such as moving them out of traffic or moving the person out of water. Assess the victim for consciousness by tapping and shouting them, like you would if you were trying to wake someone up. If the victim is unconscious, you next would want to activate the emergency response system. Do this by calling for help, asking someone else to activate the emergency response system, and get an AED. If no one is able to do so for you, you can go do this yourself. Your next step would be to assess the victim's breathing and pulse. Check for chest rise. Agonal breathing or gasping is not considered normal breathing, and CPR should be administered. Simultaneously, check the victim's carotid pulse. Spend at least 5 seconds, but no more than 10 seconds assessing these. If the victim is not breathing or not breathing normally and doesn't have a pulse, begin CPR, starting with 30 chest compressions. For chest compressions, use the heel of one hand on the lower half of the sternum in the middle of the chest. Put your other hand on top of the first hand, and straighten your arms and push straight down into the chest. Compression should be at least 2 inches into the person's chest and at a rate of 100 to 120 compressions per minute. Be sure that between each compression, you completely stop pressing on the chest and allow the chest ball to return to its natural position. Leaning or resting on the chest between compressions can keep the heart from refilling in between each compression and make CPR less effective. After 30 compressions, stop compressions and open the airway by tilting the head and lifting the chin. Give a breath while watching the chest rise. Repeat while giving a second breath. Breath should be delivered over 1 second. Continue with this ratio of 30 compressions to 2 breaths until the AED or further help arrives. Once the AED arrives, begin using the AED by turning the device on. Attach pads to the victim using the diagram on the pads. Then plug in the connector. The AED will begin analyzing the victim's heart rhythm. During this time, make sure no one is touching the patient. The AED will either advise a shock or advise you to resume CPR, starting with chest compressions. If a shock is advised, clear the victim. You may have to hit a button to deliver the shock. Once the shock is delivered, resume CPR, starting with chest compressions. After about 2 minutes, the AED will prompt you to allow it to analyze the rhythm again. Don't forget, online BLS certification is available on our site. You can find a link in the description. We encourage you to become certified as soon as possible, whether that be on your own time with an online course or in a classroom setting. So thank you so much for tuning into today's webinar, and we will catch you the next time.